My friends, as we've discussed, the human being is a rather remarkable contraption, one that can design flying machines capable of crossing vast distances yet still manage to put their boots on the wrong feet from time to time. And the root of this curious phenomenon lies not in our hands, but in that spongy, wrinkly organ between our ears. Let us delve into the inner workings of the human mind and see what strange delights and troubling shortcomings we might uncover. Very often, erroneous actions are the result of failure at the information perception stage. It's like trying to put together a jigsaw puzzle with some pieces missing or distorted. You're bound to end up with the wrong picture. Now, our senses are the portals through which the world reaches in and tickles our gray matter. Our eyes, our ears, our fingertips. They gather up all manner of sensations and deposit them in the brain's own private storage units. But alas, these repositories have their limits. Visual information, for instance, gets stuffed into iconic memory for a scant half-second, as if the brain is saying, "Here, take a quick peek, then figure out what to do with it." And sounds? They get a slightly more generous 2 seconds in echoic memory before the brain decides it's time to start moving on. This enables us to remember a sentence as a sentence, rather than merely as an unconnected string of isolated words, or a film as a film rather than as a series of disjointed images. One might think the brain would be more diligent in safeguarding these precious nuggets of data, but no, it seems our gray matter is more akin to a child with an ever-shortening attention span, ready to flit off to the next shiny thing that catches its fancy. But the brain does try to keep focused, in its own peculiar way. It has this curious ability called attention, the knack of zeroing in on one particular source of information while the rest gets shunted off to the side. Selective attention, they call it. The same trick that allows you to carry on a conversation at a lively party while still perking up the moment you hear your name mentioned across the room. Truly a remarkable feat, were it not for the fact that the brain can only handle one of these selective attentions at a time. Ask it to juggle too many and it's liable to drop them all. They call that the cocktail party effect, though I reckon it works just the same at a barn dance. And then there's focused attention, where we muster up the sheer willpower to block out every distraction and hone in on a single thing, which is just a fancy way of saying you're bearing down on one thing harder than a woodpecker on a hollow log. But maintaining that kind of sustained attention over long stretches, that's like trying to watch paint dry all day and still notice if it ain't drying right. Hooey, that's a real challenge for even the sharpest of us. And let's not forget divided attention, the brain's attempt to multitask, which invariably ends with one task suffering greatly for the sake of the other. It's as if the brain simply refuses to be in more than one place at a time, no matter how much we demand it. Now, one might think that with all these sensory inputs and attentional acrobatics, the brain would be quite adept at making sense of the world. But alas, the process of perception is where things really start to get interesting. You see, the brain doesn't just passively record the information that comes its way. Oh no, it actively organizes and interprets that data, picking and choosing what's relevant and discarding the rest. And how does it decide what's relevant? Well, mostly by relying on whatever knowledge and experience it's accumulated over the years. It's not always straightforward, and sometimes it's no more conscious than scratching an itch. But beware of the trap of overconfidence. The world is quick to humble those who think they know it all. But perhaps the most remarkable feat of the human mind is its ability to take all this jumbled, half-understood information and turn it into decisions, the very choices that can make the difference between a job well done and a catastrophe in the making. You'd think, with all our vaunted intelligence, the process would be a straightforward one. But no, The brain seems to prefer operating in the shadows, drawing upon a mysterious stew of knowledge, intuition, and sheer guesswork. And woe betide the human who thinks they can always rely on their existing know-how to see them through. For the brain, it seems, is ever eager to prove its creativity by finding novel ways to get things wrong. And so we arrive at the heart of the matter, my friends. For, as we've seen, the human mind, that most wondrous and frustrating of instruments, is forever struggling to make sense of a world that seems intent on confounding it at every turn. The senses, ever eager to bombard us with data. The attention, forever flitting from one shiny distraction to the next. The perception, sifting and sorting with all the care of a tornado through a junkyard. And the decision-making, a precarious dance upon the tightrope of knowledge, experience, and pure, unmitigated guesswork. Is it any wonder, then, that we so often find ourselves tripping over our own feet? Our tools may be the finest, our procedures the most meticulously crafted, and our training the most rigorous. But in the end, we are beholden to the whims of that most unpredictable of components, the human mind. And so, as we go about our duties, let us remember the sage wisdom of Murphy, who long ago observed that if something can go wrong, it most assuredly will. For when it comes to the curious machinations of the human brain, well, the possibilities for mishap are truly endless. Good decision-making isn't just about what's rattling around in your head. Wise folks use all the help they can get, manuals, checklists, advice from the seasoned hands. Because no matter how sharp you are, there comes a day when your know-how runs dry, and it's what you do next that shows your mettle. You see, unlike them machines that just break down on account of physical wear and tear, we humans got ourselves a whole carnival of ways to go wrong. Our bodies get tired, our minds get fuzzy, and don't even get me started on them social and emotional factors. Why, I've seen a perfectly good mechanic turn into a butterfingered mess just cause his mother-in-law came to visit. So next time you're feeling mighty proud of your human capabilities, remember this. We're all just complicated machinery, trying our best to keep all our gears turning in the right direction. And just like any other piece of equipment, we need proper maintenance, regular checks, and a healthy respect for our limitations. Keep your wits about you, my friends. And perhaps consider investing in a nice, reliable robot to handle the important stuff, at least until we've figured out how to upgrade the firmware on our own gray matter. Subscribe to catch our next exploration of human factors and share your thoughts below. Remember, the only perfect human is the one who's learned to plan for their imperfections.